Yesterday was my 40th birthday, and I was really excited when I was first asked to speak at TEDxWinchester because that's where it happened, that's where I was born. So here I am, 40 years later, and the average life in the UK for a woman is 81 years. So this is it, official middle age. But I'm lucky. If I was born somewhere else, like the Central African Republic, I'd be entering the last quarter of my life, where my average life expectancy would be 54 years. So this really is a milestone, and it makes me think, what have I done with my life? Am I happy with it? What have I achieved with the relative privilege of being born in Winchester? I'm really lucky to be the managing director of an organisation called Charity Water here in the UK. And we're on a mission to end the water crisis, to bring clean water to every person on the planet, which is a lot. Right now, 785 million people are living without access to clean water, and that's about 1 in 10 of us. And I love my job. I really love this charity, and not just because of the critical mission, but because of the way the charity works. It's an organisation which is built on, pretty much obsessed with, values, generosity, excellence, integrity, innovation. 100% of every donation made publicly is sent to countries which score low on the UN's Human Development Index. A system which uses how long and healthy lives are, the level of education people receive, and the general standard of living to give a score and rank how the country is doing. Every single penny is given to local charity partners in these countries to bring clean water to people in a sustainable way, and in a way which best suits their geography and their needs. And together we prove each one of these projects with photos, GPS coordinates and a map on our website. We also report back to many of our donors exactly which of these projects their donations funds. Pretty radical transparency. I actually had a very different talk planned for this event when it was going to happen in person, in Winchester, and we'd all have been in a room together. 2019 was a good year for me. Personally, my family was happy and healthy. We'd adopted 2 cats. Charity Water had grown over 200%, and we'd funded clean water for another 50,000 people. And I apologise because there's background noise right now because it's my son and because things have changed. So my original talk was going to be about how big change for most of us doesn't happen that often, that things accumulate and reiterate and gradually shift over time. That we only really achieve big change when we come together to make big positive things happen together using our voices and our actions and our generosity. I see this when a village which has never had clean water before gets access, thanks to the collective input of donors around the world, extensive project management, an amazing local charity partner, village elders, training and the actions of community members, a drilling team, hydrologists. It changes everything, which despite all that work and all those people can feel like something which happens overnight. It impacts education, gender equity, health, and for every £1 invested in clean water, the economic return is between £4 and £12. So that was the talk, that change for most of us is slow and iterative and doesn't happen that much, and that we only make big change happen when we come together. And I was focused on positive change and energy. And then things did change for all of us. For me, COVID hit and things were unexpected and things felt out of control, and it wasn't something we felt we'd come together to achieve. It felt like very much like it happened to me, to us, and it's been lonely to be confined to our homes, to our communities, to our countries. So in a bid to feel less lonely, I thought I'd change this talk slightly because change has happened, and I'd share what the experience has been for me personally, professionally, and to make sure that that 40 years I've lived so far and this my 41st year feels like I'm achieving something still. The day about 6 months ago when I learnt that my children, then aged 3 and 7, could no longer go to school or to nursery or to their childminder. It was a hard day. I broke a bit. In the early evening, I went upstairs to my bed alone and I cried. I cried for a really long time. Until then, I hadn't realised the fragility of the system which we'd built around our family, a system which meant that my children could feel safe and cared for and educated and even loved while their father Freddie and I went to work. In our family, like in many I know, I'm the one who's always been responsible for arranging childcare. And Freddie is a doctor for the NHS. So looking after and educating our kids became my responsibility. And it felt like a time of reckoning that my children at home with me all day would realise I'm not really a good mother. There wasn't space for strategic thinking or creativity. Freddie's work is essential, hard, and potentially dangerous. But there are days when I've resented him. Until this moment, our careers, our lives have always felt very much in balance and equal. Then it changed. He got on his bike every morning and cycled off to work to do really important work, while I stayed at home with our children and my job, both of which needed new and attention in ways I'd never had to give it before. Like many industries, charities have been hit hard by the pandemic. It's estimated that we'll lose about £12.4 billion of revenue this year. And Bond, a network for international development organisations, estimates that about 45% of international charities will close this year. There were campaigns for government emergency funding, and it came slowly, but it was aimed at charities doing work for people affected by the pandemic and by the economic fallout here in the UK. Charity Water supports many local organisations doing this work in their local communities internationally. Since early on, our partners have been training people on social distancing, awareness of the dangers of the coronavirus, the importance of hand washing. So we're not the target for this government emergency funding. And anyway, we're a charity that is designed to get people and brands excited about generosity and about helping people on the other side of the world. We're not set up for institutional grants. So with some of those brands who usually give to us generously closed, like many organisations, we had to look at ourselves and our work and how to do it efficiently. And we had to let staff go. In the US, there are nearly 100 employees, and internationally through our local partners, we employ hundreds more. But here in the UK, our London office, the first fundraising office outside New York, there are just 3 of us. And so I had to take that team of 3 to just me. That was tough. I miss my co-workers, I miss my friends, and I feel guilty that I wasn't able to save their jobs. We wanted to bring people together in 2020. We were so excited. We planned to spur generosity, to bring clean water to 70,000 more people who needed it. And now that won't happen to that size. Without 3 of us here in the UK, our impact will not be so great. And so many people won't get clean water. And that breaks my heart. But I did promise to not only share what I've found difficult and struggled with over the past few months, but also what I've done to try and refine that purpose, what I'll do with my 41st year and how I'll feel about it. And really, I've had to focus on not the size of my impact, but to come back to my intent. Before working at Charity Water, I did a lot of research into the organisation to be sure it was somewhere I wanted to give my time and my career and to really dedicate myself to. It's known in the charity sector for being a cool brand for having this radical, transparent, 100% model, for using technology and doing really exciting things. And it's also known for having a founder who was once a nightclub promoter in New York, who gave it all up to volunteer on a hospital ship in Liberia before founding Charity Water, which is now amongst the top 250 charities in America. So lots of people know us because of all that, but that's not why I wanted to work at Charity Water. I wanted to work at Charity Water after coming across the story of a woman called Mulitani who lived in a rural village in Malawi. Usually when you read stories of people, case studies from charities, you feel sadness, you feel pity, you feel concern. And when I read about Mulitani, I didn't feel any of those things. I really felt inspired. I felt like I wanted to learn from Mulitani and I wanted to be more like Mulitani. When clean water came to Mulitani's village, she was a similar age to me, 42. Unlike me, she had 6 children to take care of, and for those first 42 years of her life, she had only been able to get water from a river outside her village. Every day she would get up early before her family to collect water. She'd walk across difficult terrain, then wait her turn with other women to collect water, dirty water, and bring it back to her family. Once home, she'd bathe and feed her children, send them off to school, then walk back again to collect more water. As well as cooking, cleaning, farming, taking care of animals, and all the other stuff of life, she would make this trip 7 times a day, carrying 20 kilograms of water on every trip, and knowing that the water she toiled for could make her family sick. But despite all of this, Mulitani was smiling and genuinely happy. The Charity Water team spent time getting to know her and other people in her village. They filmed their whole community collectively make change happen. Every family living in the village volunteered one person and materials to build a road across a ravine. A road they needed if a drilling rig was to draw a borehole for a well and bring clean water. During this time, our team asked Mulitani about the joy she literally radiated. How? Why? Life was tough. Dirty water meant diarrhea and disease. But Mulitani replied that her name, in her language, had a meaning. It meant, what will you do with it? So every day she woke up and asked herself, what will I do with it? I'm coming back to Mulitani now and her story, and I'm really trying to learn from her and to embrace her approach, to wake up every morning in my 41st year and to ask myself, what will I do with it? At home, at work, which are now the same thing. The hardest thing is that so many of us had all these plans for this year. I planned to bring clean water with my team to 70,000 people. That won't happen. I may not have that size of an impact, but the absolute minimum I can do to make sure I stick to that intent is to personally join the spring and to give clean water to one person myself every single month. If I'm doing that, I'm still achieving something. And if I ask family and friends and you and other people to join me in doing that, then we're doing even more. And hopefully, although it's in a totally different way to what I had planned, eventually we will get that clean water to 70,000 people. You may not be passionate about bringing people clean water. You may be passionate about something else. But the exciting thing is that even when we're at home, we have the ability to make a difference, to be generous, to be kind, to think of other people, to give, and to also get angry. So, every day I'm waking up, I'm thinking, what will I do with it? And as a parent, I'm trying to give that attitude to my children too. And what I want them to do with it is to think about other people, to think about how they can work with other people and do something for other people. Because if we all focus on that and we make that happen, then change will happen. Thank you.